Gav, the best line of Eric 2024 didn't come from Sirhan, didn't come from Ryan Reynolds. Mate, it came from you. And I've publicly said it on the podcast. I've actually been using it since Eric. And I'm going to get you to share some of the great metaphors or philosophy lines that are dry. You know, I mean, they're one sentence, but you could write an essay on them. And the one that I want to start off with, and then I'll get you to give me some of your favorites. Moving from the prospector to the prospected, from the start to the. I just love that line. Tell me what that means to you, Gavin.
Highlighted even more so than your good mentors was your bad mentors and your bad experiences, and how, you know, they have actually been more valuable to me than the good experiences in a weird kind of way. You know, that's that phrase, and I'll give you another one that says ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship, which is true, right? Like, you learn the best lessons and gain the best experience in the toughest times. And my interpretation of that is, you know, in real estate, unfortunately, you're going to have people who are going to do wrong by you, whether it's a business owner, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a client. You got to learn to take fire. And one of my bad mentors early on, without mentioning names, although I remember clear as day who it was because he used to say it all the time, he said, profile doesn't pay your bills. I used to say profile doesn't pay your bills. And so I look back at that 17 years later at my business macro, and I'm like, this guy just did not understand what profile was. Yeah. He didn't have the slightest freaking idea, which is true, because you look at his business over the course of the past however many years, and I think he's been in it 40 years, and he isn't touched close to the pinnacle levels, and it makes sense. But, you know, my view was profile being the second point, and arguably the most important point, is one that if you work it out, you can really run a really great business. And if you look at all the top players in the game, I don't have to mention names, you know them, and some are different in all respective markets. They've all kind of worked that out. The key with regard to profile, I think, is from going from prospecting to becoming the prospected. And you think about it, when you start out, you're hunting, you're chasing, and look, you never stop chasing if you're a real estate agent. I'm not saying you'll never stop chasing, but you're hounding everyone, you're prospecting, there's lots outgoing. And my approach was always, how do we shift this dynamic to create a lot of incoming? You know, and I spoke about profile being a, you know, consistent strategic action, profile essentially being a business plan, because that's how I've always treated it. You've got to do it consistently, because so many people fail because they do it for a day, a month, even a year. Like, I've been doing this, and you know, you've known me a long time. Same game, same formula. I've evolved, as you just said, but I've kept the main thing for 17 years. And I think where most of the guys fail, and they really do, let's face it, probably, we don't have to say fail, but you got 10% of the guys writing 90% of the business, and sometimes 20% writing 80%. It'll shift and fluctuate, because a lot of people go, I just want the profile and the glitzy side of the process, as opposed to actually realizing the profile is the outcome of the calls, which then become the listings and become the sales. And you can't make a sale, irrespective of how good a salesman or saleswoman you are, without the listing. And what comes before the listing is the calls. So you got to, you know, most people do that backwards, right? They go, oh, I just want the profile, and I just want to have a TV show, or I just want to be on the news, and I just want to be a flash cat on Instagram looking like I'm all this, when that's all meaningless stuff, right? When you start at the basics and the process of that, which is essentially being a glorified telemarketer and doing consistently for a long period of time, strategically, getting great results, servicing your vendors at a high level, that compounds and that produces your profile. Profile is the outcome. And I think that's how I've always approached it. And that's what's always served me really, really well.
And it's funny, everyone asks me, Gavin, about his socials, who does his socials? And I feel like saying to him, man, listen, why don't you ask me what his hours are? Why don't you ask me what time he finishes work? Why don't you ask me what he does in the work? Because I know in my head, that's actually the main factor, right? But Gav, let's answer this question, and then we'll let you go off. Jason asked, you know, if you were doing properties 500K to $1 million, what would you do differently? And I don't even think that price point matters that much.
Well, it doesn't, right? Because if you have a look, right, if you take
That's given you a test ride of the Real Estate Gym. In the Real Estate Gym, we've got all the information you need to succeed, whether it's prospecting, listing presentations, scripts, dialogues, how to actually have the best templates and have a process-driven business. You can join the Real Estate Gym. The doors are open now, and it is less than 1 coffee a day as an investment.